Hello everyone, this is Anjali Tyagi and today I am going to give you the summary of the chapter on the face of it. It is the sixth chapter of Vistas book of class 12. It is written by Susan Hill. So first of all, let's know about the author. Susan Hill is an English author of fiction and non-fiction works. Her novels include The Women in Black, The Mist in the Mirror, and I Am the King of the Castle, for which she received the Somerset Maugham Award in 1971. Let's have the introduction of the chapter. The play is about the friendship between an old man, Mr. Lamb, and a young boy named Derry, who is withdrawn and defiant. Both of them suffer from physical impairment. The old man has a tin leg because he got one of his legs blown off in the war. The young boy, Danny, has one side of his face disfigured as he was burnt by acid. Mr. Lamb has a very positive attitude towards life and people. He shows the right way of judging man matters and life to young Danny. So, summary of the chapter. The first scene is located in Mr. Lamb's garden. There is an occasional sound of bird song and of tree leaves rustling. Derry walks slowly and cautiously through the long grass. He enters Lamb's garden. He comes round a screen of bushes. Mr. Lamb speaks to him when he is close at hand. Derry is startled. He is apologetic. He doesn't know if there is anybody there. Mr. Lamb tries to make Derry comfortable. He can pick up crab apples. Derry need not go away on Mr. Lamb's account. He doesn't mind who comes in the garden. The gate is always open. Derry needs not climb over the wall of the garden. Derry says he didn't come there for stealing apples. Mr. Lamb assures him that he can stay there. Derry then says that people are afraid of him. He asks Mr. Lamb to look at him, and after seeing his face, he might think that he is the most frightful and ugliest thing. Derry says that when he looks in the mirror and sees his face, he is afraid of it. Mr. Lamb says that the whole of his face is not frightening. Mr. Lamb now changes the topic. He says when it is a bit cooler, he will get the ladder and a stick and pull down crab apples. They were ripe for making a jelly. September is the right time of the year of it. The apples look orange and golden. He tells Derry that he could help him. Derry doesn't want Mr. Lamb to change the subject. He wants to talk about himself. Mr. Lamb makes a guess. Perhaps the boy got burnt in a fire. Daddy says that he got acid all down that side of his face and it burned the face all away. Daddy asks Mr. Lamb if he is not interested. The old man says he is interested in anybody and anything made by God, even grass, rubbish, weed, flowers, fruits. He observed that it is all life, developing just as they are. Mr. Lamb says that they are similar. Mr. Lamb is old, Derry is young. Derry has got a burnt face, Mr. Lamb has got a tin leg. Similarly, one green plant is called a weed and another flower. It is all life. It is growing. Lamb got his one leg blown off. Some kids call him Lammy Lamb. A tin leg or a burnt face are not the only things to be taken notice of or to be stared at. There are so many other things like crabapples, weeds, and sunflowers. They deserve our attention, and Mr. Lamb enjoys life and people as much as he can. Derry says that people talk about the persons who are in pain and brave, never cry or complain, and don't feel sorry for themselves. People try to console the person suffering from physical impairment by asking them to think of all those people worse off than them. They might have been blinded, or born deaf, or have lived in a wheelchair, or be insane and dribble. But all this will not change this face. Even totally strange persons call him terrible. Derry repeats that he doesn't like being near people, especially when they stare at him and when he sees them being afraid of him. Mr. Lamb then tells him the story of a man who was afraid of everything in the world. So he locked himself in his room and stayed in his bed. A picture fell off the wall onto his head and killed him. Derry says that the old man said peculiar things. Then he asks what he does all day. Mr. Lamb replies that he enjoys life as it comes. He sits in the sun and reads books. He is not fond of curtains. In this way, first part of the chapter ends here, and second part of the chapter will be discussed in the next video. Thank you very much for listening.